This is the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, and today we are talking about how to maximize your retail sales after the holiday rush.
Welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast on SelenaKnight.com. Stay ahead of the competition by opening your doors to business experts so you can learn, grow, and be inspired. Passionate about bringing business strategies to independent retailers, please welcome your host, Selena Knight.
This week's episode is brought to you by my Maximise Your Retail Sales download, which you can grab over at SelenaKnight.com/bundle. In it, I'm going to show you some great ways that you can put products together in order to move them out the door and make money fast. Grab it at SelenaKnight.com/bundle for free. Hey there, and welcome to today's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. I'm your host, Selena Knight, the retail strategist, and I am here today to talk to you about how you can make a lot of money after Christmas. Now, if you are listening to this when it goes live, I'll have to admit I am running a little bit behind schedule. I am recording this 2 days after Christmas, so the 27th of December. It really should have gone live on the 26th if I was paying attention to my schedule. But if you are anything like me, you have the best of intentions in the lead up to the Christmas period, and then stuff just gets in the way. No matter how well you plan, how well you prep, stuff always pops up. And that is exactly what has happened for me. Despite my best intentions, we had our street Christmas party on Christmas Eve because Christmas Eve was on a Sunday, and we generally have it the Sunday before Christmas. And we live in a lovely little cul-de-sac. There are just 9 houses, loads of kids. I think there's about 10 of the bigger kids and 2 little bubbas in the street. And everyone just meets together in the cul-de-sac, and we bring a plate of food, we have a barbecue, the kids run around, they do chalk drawings all over the cul-de-sac. One of the parents monitors the pool and they're hopping in and out of the pool, and it's just a really relaxed time. But of course, when that happens to fall on Christmas Eve, there's no time left. So the Christmas party went from about 3 till 8 p.m. And then, of course, we came home and we had to make sure that my daughter went to bed, and then you have to make sure all the presents are sorted. And I was exhausted. I think I was in bed by about 9:30. And then, of course, there's the Christmas Day rush. And I am a bit of a stickler for tradition. I love a hot roast dinner on Christmas Day, whether it's lunch or dinner. Now, sometimes that doesn't quite work because here in Australia or here in Sydney, I've noticed that 2 things happen on Christmas Day. It is either really, really hot, like 40 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, or it's cold and wet and windy. So on Christmas Eve, we had the 100 degree Fahrenheit, 40 degrees Celsius day. Christmas Day turns up and it is not cold, but certainly a little bit damp and a little bit windy. And we have our Christmas dinner outside under a big gazebo. But we were not to be thwarted. We put the gazebo up, we decorated the gazebo, and I'll have to make sure I pop some pictures up on Facebook. I've been a little bit slack with Facebook over Christmas and Instagram over Christmas. And we had a lovely Christmas dinner, and it was fantastic. But of course, then it was 9 o'clock at night again, and I had to get up and do it all again on Boxing Day, because Boxing Day is the day I meet with my family. And my sister lives about 2 hours away with her husband and kids. And my auntie lives about an hour and a half away with her husband and kids. And then there's my dad and my brother who live about an hour and a half away. So none of us are kind of in the middle. So we all converge on one person's house each year, and it swaps around each year. So this year we had to go to my sister's house, which was a 2-hour drive. So we had to be up and ready to go by 9 o'clock, which is not really a big deal because we're pretty early risers. But of course I had to make all the salads that I had to take. And I just feel like I had no time left this Christmas. I clearly overcommitted. And that is one of the things that I am going to learn how to do better next year. Well, no, from now. I'm not even going to say next year. From now is I'm going to start saying no more often because I am a people pleaser. I love to make sure everybody's happy. I love to make sure somebody or everybody gets the best out of their interactions. And so what I found is it's depleted me really, really badly. And if you've listened to any of the past few episodes, I have talked about how I do have a few medical problems, which have just meant that I have been really drained and really exhausted. But I've started my supplements and I am already feeling better. Now, the whole no thing though, that is something I think a lot of entrepreneurs have to work on. I think it is something that we do because if we don't have people to delegate things to, and I mean, I have some great team members, but when you aren't in that office environment, when you don't just have Jane down the hall or Paul down the hall, you can't just splinter things up and just say, hey, can you just finish this for me? Even when you have a team, these things have to be organized. And I think that's why we say yes way more often than we should. So one of the things that I am going to be practicing a lot and be very mindful of in this coming year is saying no to things just to people please, just to make people think better of me. And making sure that when I say no, that it does come from a place of love. Now, I know that sounds really, really strange, but if you are a people pleaser, if you are a yes person, if you are the person whose diary is always crammed full, then maybe you need to think about saying no a little bit more often as well. And just spending your time that you have looking after what needs to be done, looking after yourself, looking after your family, and making sure that you really love your life. Okay, with that introduction over, I hope you have had a really fantastic holiday season. And whether you're prepped to go back to work or whether you're having some time off, and I've noticed that people in the Northern Hemisphere, you guys just take 1 or 2 days off and you are back in the swing of things. Whereas here in Australia, here in the Southern Hemisphere, the kids are off for 6 weeks and most independent businesses will close down for 2 weeks between Christmas and New Year. It's great if you can open, and in some cases you have to open, especially if you're in a shopping centre. But if you find that you need to recharge, this is the time that most independent businesses will take off. So today, I'm going to give you some tips on how you can maximize your retail sales post-Christmas, post-holiday rush. Now, last week, I gave you 5 things that you can sell after Christmas. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, it is highly recommended that you go back and listen to that, because if you are going to the shops here in Australia, everything is on sale. I took my daughter to the mall today, and you would think I would love shopping, right? No. I avoid our shopping mall at all costs. I just find it so draining. Anyway, my daughter got money for Christmas from a few relatives, and she has been itching to spend it. So I said, okay, we will be there before the shops open. The shops open at 9 o'clock. We were there at 10 to 9. We got a park. It was nice and easy. And we proceeded to spend the next 3 hours just going from shop to shop for her to spend her money. And it was actually a great experience because she had to weigh up. She had $110 and she had to weigh up whether she wanted to buy something and what the value was to her. Did she really want to spend that much money? So I think taking kids shopping with their own money can really be an eye-opener because it does give them value. It does make them understand how money works in society. When they've got none left, that's it. There's no more shopping. So we've done the shopping and we've come home. Have to admit, I had to have a little nana nap afterwards. I had to have a little refresh. And it is now the afternoon. I've been for a swim in my next door neighbour Greg's pool. Greg is our fantastic next door neighbour. He's our babysitter when we need it. He has a pool, we don't. So, we use the pool. He comes over for dinner. Well, it's all reciprocal in our little cul-de-sac. So I've been for a swim. I'm refreshed. I'm ready to jump in and share with you how you can maximize your retail sales after this holiday rush. So let's jump in. Okay, as I mentioned, I went to the mall this morning, and what I noticed was every store appeared to be on sale. And that can be really hard to cope with. Seeing all those flyers that are going out in letterboxes, the ads on TV, the ads on the radio, with all these stores being on sale. But I have to admit, the stuff that my daughter was buying, very few of the things she bought were actually on sale. So the big stores have wised up to the fact that they only have to appear to have a sale to get you in the door. And a lot of the stuff that was on sale was your post-Christmas products. It was your old stock, jumpers and hoodies. It's the middle of summer here. There were a few bargains to be had, don't get me wrong, but generally speaking, the sales weren't that exciting. So what I want you to be mindful of here is just because the big stores are on sale, it doesn't mean you have to compete on sales. And just because you are on holidays, if you're taking some time off over this Christmas New Year period, I don't want to let that affect your sales. I don't want you to be losing customers to those big box stores, to those shopping mall stores, because customers like my daughter and myself were sucked into these Boxing Day and post-Christmas sales. So here are some tips on how you can, I'm going to say compete, even though that's not the word. Here are my tips on how to give the big boys a run for their money and play at their own game. And the first one is, if you've got a physical store, I really want you to try and refresh your store before the next opening day. Before you actually reopen, try and give your store a facelift, even if that means going in the night before, doing your windows, just changing some stock around. But you want to make sure that when people come back in, that the store looks different. No one wants to see the dregs of Christmas scattered right throughout your store. And I have to say, the big box stores at the shopping mall today, they hadn't done this. It was like a wasteland because, of course, Christmas was the first thing you saw when you came in the door. And they just had rows and rows of empty shelves and then 50% off the stuff that was left, which is actually quite silly because really they should have moved that stock into a small section on sale. And this is the first thing we see when we walk in the door. This is our impulse buys. This is the thing that draws us in. And it was just empty shelves in a lot of those stores. So you do not want that in your store. You want your store to be fresh. You want it to be appealing. So make sure that you go in there, you move that Christmas stuff out of the way, you put it over in the corner. People can rustle through it if they want, but whatever is in your window, in your front of house, that is going to be fresh and new. And this also includes your website. So whether you have an online store and you also have a shop front or you're just online, I should see no remnants of Christmas on that homepage if I went there today, the 27th of December. There should be something fresh. There should be a new promotion. There should be something exciting me to come in and shop with you. Okay, so that's the first tip. The second one is to, when you go forward in the future, make sure that you put a few little things aside to promote post-Christmas. If you can't get stock from your supplier over this Christmas New Year period, make sure that there are a few things that you've either put away or they're not very well displayed in the shop that you can bring to the front, that you can put on the front page of the website, so that you do look like you have fresh stock coming in, fresh inventory that people want to look at. Because remember, a lot of people have gift vouchers, a lot of people have money to spend, and they want something fresh and new. They don't just want to see the leftovers of Christmas. Okay, the third tip, I'm not even counting numbers here, so if I get these numbers wrong, I'm just going to say the next tip. I've just got some dot points here I want to go over. So I don't want you to be saying, Sal, what happened to tip number 5? No more numbers. The next tip is, if you have Christmas stock, it has to go, no matter what the cost, because the cost of keeping it means that money can't be used going forward for the next 11 months. And I use all different examples, but imagine if you have a hat, like a Christmas hat that you wanted to get rid of. So you bought it for $5, you sold it for $10. No one's going to buy a hat post-Christmas, we think. Certainly not for $10. Maybe for $5 they might, and they can put it aside for next year. But for every day, every week, every month that $5 hat sits on your shelf, you could have used that $5. And I'm saying that we sold it for 50% off. We sold it for the $5 it cost us. You can then use that $5 to buy more stock and make more money. But if that $5 hat is sitting on your shelf for 11 months, it could cost you $300, $400, $500 over the next 11 months because you couldn't buy other stock with it. And if there's more than one hat, how many hundreds of dollars are you wasting by putting that Christmas inventory in the storeroom? Now, even if you lose money on the hat, say you had to sell the hat for $2.50 to get rid of it, the fact is you still have $2.50 that you can now use to buy stock that it is going to move over the next 11 months. It's not going to be sitting on your shelf. So that's what we call an opportunity cost. So putting these things in your storeroom for the next 11 months is going to cost you tens, hundreds, thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of dollars if you don't move it, which is why department stores put everything at 50% off, and then in about 2 weeks' time, you'll see it dirt cheap. Because one, every piece of real estate in your shop and in your storeroom costs you money. So if something is not going to move for 11 months, it's costing you rent, or it's costing you, the area in your garage or in your storage house or in your 3PL, your third-party logistics company. And in fact, that is a great way of thinking of it. Imagine if you aren't doing this yet, imagine if you had a third-party fulfillment center and you had Christmas stock just sitting there on a pallet and you were paying rent for it month after month after month. You wouldn't want to do it. You would want to get that stuff out. That is a fantastic idea, Sal. It's amazing what comes to me. I haven't written that down. I just thought of that as I was talking. But that is a great way to think about it. Is imagine if it wasn't your storeroom. Imagine if you were paying to put it somewhere else. You would not want to be paying pallet rates for that stuff to sit in somebody else's warehouse. So get that Christmas stock out now. Bundle it up, move it out, mark it down, whatever you have to do, it is gone stat. Now, speaking of bundling it up and moving it on, today I have a free download for you. I know that bundling is not a new concept. The idea of putting things together and selling them, not brand new, not a brainstorm. But sometimes it can be difficult to work out what you should be putting together. So in today's free download, which you can get when you go over to selinaknight.com/bundle, and you can grab that download for free, just enter your email address and I will send it straight to you. But I'm going to give you some really good tips on how to bundle and make the most money. But I've also got a bunch of examples of things that you can bundle together. So whether you're a homeware store, a kids store, a pet store, a fashion store, I've got a bunch of examples for a whole different lot of retail scenarios. So if you wanted to grab that, head on over to selinaknight.com/bundle. Or if you're listening to this live, just head onto the homepage and click the episode there and you can grab that download for free. And it's a great way to make more money with products that you thought you wouldn't be able to sell. Okay, my next tip. It is time to go and email your customer list. Now, whether you are really poor at emailing, you do it once every 6 months, once every year, or if you are a regular weekly or monthly emailer, now is the time to be sending emails to your list, because your customers are going to be getting emails from so many different stores, but they're only going to pick and choose the ones that they feel like shopping with. So if I got one right now and it was for swimwear, I would probably open it because it's the middle of summer. But if I got one right now and it was for ski gear and I wasn't in the market for ski gear, I'm probably just not going to open it. So don't be worried about losing subscribers over this period of time. The fact is, we're all getting bombarded with emails and you need to be in there too. You need to be in the inbox. You need to be showing people what you've got available. You need to be sharing some tips with them on how to cope with the festive season, or what they could be doing to spring clean their house for the holiday season, or what they could do to refresh their wardrobe post-holiday season. Go and give them some great information and then show them how they can do it with the products in your store. Because if you're not emailing your list, you are losing customers to the people who are. Okay, next, make sure that you've got enough staff. I know this sounds really simple, but the fact is a lot of retailers often go on holidays in this Christmas/New Year time, because it is a time when you can just take a break and spend some time with your family. But you have to think about it. Is it actually a good idea? And if you need that time off, do you need to be getting somebody in to pack your orders, to open your shop, whatever it is you need to do? So go back and have a look at your sales figures. Go back and see how many orders you sent out or how many customers you had in this week between Christmas and New Year, and see whether you really should think about, even if you have to think about it for next year, do you need to be hiring someone in and keeping your shop open? Or do you need to be getting someone to come and pack your orders and leaving your e-commerce shop open? Or is it okay to take a bit of time off? Either could be great, but just make sure that you check, because you do not want to be missing out on thousands of dollars worth of sales just because you need a break. If you're making money in this time, it is worth hiring somebody in to make sure that your shop continues to run smoothly, or to make sure that your e-commerce business continues to run smoothly. Okay, my next tip, it is time to boost your advertising budget. Now, post-Christmas, in the lead up to Christmas, ads start to get expensive. So that's Cyber Monday, Black Friday, ads were super expensive. Lead up to Christmas, ads were super expensive. And you'll probably find for the next week or two, ads are still going to be expensive. So if you're using Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest ads, Google ads, all those sorts of things, you'll find the prices are going to be more expensive. But that's because people are opening their wallets. That's because people want to spend money. A staggering statistic that I heard on the way to the shopping mall in the car this morning is that in the next 3 weeks, just here in Australia, almost $18 billion is likely to be spent by Australian shoppers in the post-Christmas sales. Now that is huge. That is phenomenal. And you want some of that $18 billion, whether you're Australian, whether you're overseas. You want to get a portion of that. You want as big a portion as you can possibly have. And that is going to mean stepping up your game. That is going to mean making sure your shop is open, making sure that you're advertising, making sure that you're emailing your customers, making sure you've got fresh stock, all this stuff that we have been talking about today. You want a piece of that pie. Don't whinge when the big box stores and the shopping malls get all the sales if you aren't doing these simple things to get shoppers into your store and spending money. Okay, so when we're talking about boosting your advertising budget, my next tip is also to try targeting a new audience. Now, if you generally hang out on Facebook ads, maybe try Instagram ads or Pinterest ads. If you're generally an Instagram ads person, try Pinterest ads. You get the drift. Essentially, maybe go and try targeting the same audience on a new platform. Because if you haven't done it before, you're going to be fresh, you're going to be new, and you're going to make people stand up and take notice of your brand. And my last tip is, because I know I've been going on for a while, and you are post-Christmas, you've probably got better things to do than listen to me talk. But the fact is, if you put these things in place, you will make money after Christmas. My last tip is just to know how much inventory you need for January and to make sure that you buy or sell accordingly. Now, if January is typically a quiet month for you, then clearly you need to be using these post-holiday sales to clear out as much stock as possible. You need to capitalize on the money that's being spent right now. But if you know that January is usually quite a lucrative month for you, make sure you've got stock coming in. You do not want to be like that big box store I walked into today. We won't mention any names, Target. where all I saw was empty shelves the minute I walked in the door. You want people to be excited about coming and shopping with you, especially if they've got time to be shopping and people aren't in a rush. Post-Christmas, certainly here in Australia, as I said, because all the kids are on school holidays and most people take a couple of weeks off, people have got a little bit more time to browse. They've got time to walk in your store and touch and smell and try things on. So you have to make sure you've got enough stock to keep people happy. So it is a balance, and it's kind of related to that tip I mentioned a little bit earlier about deciding whether your shop should be opened or closed. You need to go and look at your figures. You need to go and see how many people are coming in. And if you don't have those figures because you've never opened before, go and look at industry averages. Go to your local association, your trade association, or your retailers association, ask them, generally, how much money do fashion retailers make in our area post-Christmas? You know, they actually have this information. So you can find that out and make that your decision to give it a try, to try something different. So just a quick recap on the things that you can do, simple, easy things that you can do to maximize your retail sales after Christmas. One is to refresh your store before you come back and open again. And even if you are open over this time, make sure that you're moving stuff around every single day so it looks fresh. The second one is to make sure you've got some new product on the shelf, or what appears to be new product on the shelf. Some fresh inventory for people to spend their Christmas cash and their gift cards on. The next one is to make sure that Christmas stock, anything Christmas related, is moving out the door. And remember, I've got that free download on so many things that you can bundle up and put together no matter what your retail situation is to make more money. And you can grab that over at selinaknight.com/bundle. And that's free. And it will help you move that stock out so that you can make more money over Christmas. Next up, email your list. Go and get in front of your customers. Also remember to make sure that you've got enough staff on hand, whether you're open or closed. Are you going to be shipping orders out? Are you going to have the shop open? Some of the shops I was in today, there just weren't enough staff and people were literally just putting things down and walking out the door. Nobody wants to wait. Next tip is to boost your advertising budget, because you need to be out there in front of your customers to get a portion of that huge spending budget that is out there. And don't forget to try targeting a new audience, or try targeting the same audience on a new platform. Either way, get your brand out there in front of some new people. And lastly, know how much inventory you need for January and make sure that you buy or sell accordingly. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed this episode. I hope there's some great tips in here that will help you kick your goals out of the park for December and January. And if you need some help on putting all of this into a plan and making 2018 your best year ever, there are applications open for my mastermind program, selinaknight.com/rockstars. You can put your application in. We can have a chat and see if it is the right program for you. Okay, so I wish you a safe and happy rest of the holiday season, and I'll be back I'm pretty sure it's going to be the new year. In fact, I think it's my birthday on the next episode. And I will be bringing to you some really clear ideas on how you can get your 2018 sorted and you can make it a profitable year. I'm going to show you the steps that I use with my clients to make sure that they are setting themselves up for a profitable year. Have a fantastic rest of your holidays, no matter where you are in the world. I'll see you in 2018 and have a profitable week. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. You can find all of the show notes over at selinaknight.com. If you found something that you heard today particularly useful, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or Stitcher. And of course, feel free to share this episode with someone that you think could benefit by listening to it. Want more retail biz strategies? You can watch the Bringing Business to Retail TV show, where each week I'll answer a question or provide you with a simple, actionable retail biz strategy that you can implement in your business right away. If you have a question or a guest, I'd love to hear from you. drop my team an email at podcast@selinaknight.com, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great week.